Welcome to the First Customers Podcast. Today, we have Alberto Voltolina, the CEO and president of MGG North America, an American-Italian company that is a worldwide leading equipment supplier for paintbrush and paint roller manufacturers like Sherwin-Williams, Behr, and more. They went from zero to about $1.5 million in about 1 year. Alberto, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Perry. It's nice to meet you. It's a pleasure to be here with you today, and I will be glad to share my experience with you and all the attendees.
Thank you for being here. How'd you get your very first customers for MGG North America?
So let me tell you the story.
Okay.
As you can listen from my accent, I'm not from New Jersey. I am Italian. So as you can imagine, and you have already said that MGG is an Italian company born in 1989 nearby Venice. And they have been working actively as a supplier for paintbrushes and rollers equipment. And they supply everywhere in the United States, India, China, and so on and so forth. So 1 year ago, they decided to open an American company because they are trusting. We still trust a lot in the American market. I was working for a different company in a different sector, like in the steel business. And I have been approached by MGG, and I joined them as a partner as well for the MGG North America. And we started with the historical business of MGG. So just a few customers in the United States, just to mention a few, like Sherwin-Williams, and is one of the major customers actually for us in North America. So I started really from scratch. The sales department in Italy provided me with a list, half correct, half not so much. And we started with the idea was to have in the United States 20, 25 customers, but we were not so much correct. Actually, the paintbrush market is very interesting. Like in 70s, United States could count 70 producers, but then the production has been swapped to China, offset to China. And right now in the market, we just have I would say 12, no more than 12 players.
Wow.
Big and small players, like Sherwin-Williams expanded a lot through merger and acquisition. So we started with this kind of list, but at the end of the day, we supply, as I told you, paintbrush and roller equipment. So we cannot supply equipment to the people that wants to produce brushes and mops. This is not our business. So this list included a lot of names for brushes and mops. So I started literally with a list, cleaning, cold calls, sitting on a table and try to catch as much as business as possible. Started from the major relationship that we had at that time, still have, is Sherwin-Williams. So I implemented the relationship with them, and I tried to find other customers all around the United States. So this was the first approach. And I think that after 1 year, the sales activity was pretty successful because, as you said, we were used to sell $50,000 before opening MGG North America, and right now we are hitting $1.5 million in the next few months. So yes, we are very happy. It was not simple, and it will be not simple because now customers are expecting from us more and more. But I have few secrets that we can share during the interview in order to facilitate those kind of relationship with the customer.
Yeah. So you started off pure cold calling based on a list. Give us some more details about your process there.
Okay. So my opinion is the matter to cross-check information, the information that you find on the website of the customer and certain other websites that you can find in Google, plus calling them. The problem is that in the United States, and also, for instance, I have a big experience also in Mexico, but from this part of the world, when you call and you go and if you call the mobile phone of the major players, they are not so much willing to interact with you. And sometimes you have a secretary replying to you, or you have a voicemail. So sometimes it's very frustrating in being able to find the right communication channel. So
did you already have an established business in Italy? They had some kind of reputation that you could leverage?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, as I told you, MGG born in 1989. So they have like 30 years, even more, 35 years of history, and the name is very well known everywhere, and in the United States as well. So there were certain customers that unfortunately did not know us. So for those customers, was very tough in getting in contact with them. And I can tell you that I started like hammer mode, very hammery mode, like calling and calling and calling till somebody picked up the phone and was willing to talk to me. I can tell you even that the trade show, the American Brass Association trade show that usually is in March this year, for instance, it will be in San Diego in 2 weeks. Last year was in Bonita Springs in Florida. That was a very good event to attend and to start creating the networking. So at least our customers were able to see a face in front of them, the same face that was calling them a lot in the previous months. So we started discussing together, and we start drafting a sort of strategy to implement together with them for what concern capital equipment and also after-sales equipment and consumables.
Okay, so you had cold calling and then event networking where you were meeting people in person at events. Do you remember the very first company that you were successfully able to close?
Yes, I remember, and is a very important company for us. Is Bear, the Californian group.
Yeah,
that is a very important company for painting and coatings. And they decided recently to enter in the paintbrush and roller market. And we were able to close. That one was the first sales in the United States.
Wow.
Okay, with one of the most important machines that we can supply to the market. In terms of even volume, is very important sales for us. And really, we did like a very aggressive sales strategy, because like we draft a specific deal for them, like we offered a machine with the possibility to reject the machine if they don't like, which is very, very aggressive, I would say.
Yeah.
And it shows a lot how much we are confident of our equipment. So they were like very astonished at the first time, and then pleased to see this kind of opportunity, because they saw a company like us willing to do well in the United States and sure of what we offer all around the world.
So that was like a guarantee for them. So it reduced the risk on their part.
Absolutely, because they did not know us. We did not know both of us, and that was the right key in order to whet their appetite, but at the same time to show that we are confident of what we do. Because sales, you can be a very good carpet seller, but at the end of the day, you need to land your ideas, your sales ideas on something solid, something real. Otherwise, you don't have, you cannot create the right kind of the right kind of relationship with the customer.
So let's zoom in even further to that sale if we can. You said you were very aggressive, so you had that really convincing guarantee as part of the offer. Did you start with a cold call to Bayer, and go if you can remember, go through that whole process of getting that customer?
I started with like cold calls. We get in contact with one of their employee, and he informed us that they were actively looking for expanding the equipment, the machinery portfolio that they have currently in their workshop. And specifically, they identified the need for this kind of machine, which we call head assembly machine. And I visited them in November 2021. And then I presented the machine, I presented the company and the equipment that we can supply. they were the first, meeting was not easy. For two reasons. First of all, they were attending like 10 of them and just myself. So,
wow.
Which is fine. I'm not scared about that. The problem is that I'm not coming, at that time, my knowledge on paintbrushes and rollers equipment, it was like almost zero. So they started with technical questions and these kind of things. When I go to a meeting, I try to be prepared. So I studied a lot before doing that. I would say from 0 to 10, probably 7.5 prepared. Okay. For sure. I'm also young. So sometimes, American customer, they like to see gray hair. So it is an aspect that is very important to take in consideration. It's something that is already happening to me. Is an old industry. When you talk about paint brushes, you go like very far in the history, like a couple of hundred years ago. So people want to talk with somebody with gray hair. So and the first meeting was not so easy. We had then a few back and forth discussion with them, myself, and the Italian colleagues, the technical office especially. So at the end of the day, they saw that we know what we're talking about. And then we draft the first proposal in December. We sent to them. It was a little bit out of their scope. Then we fine-tune and so on and so forth. And then at the end of the day, we came out with this nice idea to be aggressive and to offer the machine in this particular condition. This was the first phase and the only one for which we can apply this kind of condition. Because it was a very peculiar situation. We closed the deal in February 2022. And we recently installed the machine. Thanks God, the machine worked and they did not reject the machine. So that was the fuel that allows us to start working in North America and to have a successful experience.
So that was about a 5-month sales process, roughly?
Yeah, potentially, yes, from November, I would say October, November, December, January, February. Yeah, 5 months.
Yeah. Okay. And what role was that first employee that you cold called?
He's a technical consultant. So I directly spoke with the technical specialist. And he immediately appreciated the quality of the machine. So I have been living and working in the United States since 10, 12 years. So in my opinion, at a certain point, you need to talk technically and you have to present technically what you are talking about. It's not, we sell B2B, we sell equipment. So we need to know how to technically offer those kind of machineries to our customer. And probably I was lucky because I found the right channel in the right moment. So the technical guy, talked to him, and he was pleased to see this kind of equipment, and that was the right person for sure.
So that was somebody who was on the list that somebody had kind of pre-qualified that this was the right person to call, because I know that's a big part of a lot of salespeople's jobs is prospecting, trying to find who even the right person is.
Absolutely, that's the reason why. In the past, not now because we already identified the major player, but in the past, when I was used to talk to our first customer, the first idea was to talk, like make a phone call and then ask for the operational guy, like the director of operation or the director of the technical office. So this is, in my opinion, the right way to communicate, because probably the owners or the CEO or this kind of level, the C-suites is a little bit too high to talk about those things. But you need to stay like in the technical level with the director of operation or technical office.
Okay. And how many calls did it take to get to a physical meeting?
Well, for this customer, I would say one. For other customer, I would say even now we did not have a physical meeting. So, for instance, For certain customer, I know who they are finally, but we did not have the chance to meet physically, which is it's a pity, unfortunately. And but now, as I told you, in 3 weeks from now, 2 weeks from now, we will have the ABMA, the trade show, and that will be the right time finally to see certain customer that we didn't have the chance to talk with in the last 12 months. But now we have something to put on the top of the table because we have 1 year successful track record with 6 or 7 machines, 3 already installed, and the other 4 or 5 already sold. So we have some good scorecards, I think.
Yeah. So with manufacturing and equipment sales, is it usually the situation where you have to be in person at some point before a sale closes, or can you do them like virtually over video? Or
look, sometimes I can do even virtually, but I don't like.
Okay.
And I'm not waiting for them to close it. I mean, if they tell me, let's close a deal virtually, sometimes I prefer to take a flight and to go there because it's the way to show the commitment, the presence, okay? And then there is something cloudy in between, and is white, no, is black. No, I mean, sales is something like, is an artistical stuff. Okay, a sales guy is an artist, but it has to be an artist who does not create troubles in the company, because if you sell something wrong, it will be a mess. So I don't want to have gray areas with my customer. You will always have gray area with the customer, but I try to be at 99% precise of what we sell. No? So that's the reason why I want to be face-to-face in front of them. There are certain parts of our business, like after-sales, spare parts, consumable parts that you can easily sell from the desk. But those kind of equipment that can cost $500,000, you need to be there.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah, that's a big check to write to somebody you haven't physically met. So that's understandable.
Yeah.
Okay. And so now that you're more established, it sounds like you're going to depend more on the in-person event marketing. Are there any other tactics that you're using or have used to try and get customers? Like, are you using advertising, digital marketing, that kind of thing?
We're pushing a lot on marketing and advertising. That's the reason why I told you before. Finally, I'm going to meet face-to-face certain customers that they don't know us, but they saw a lot of our publicity and advertising.
Okay.
So at least they saw that there is an MGG North America. Now they can meet a face. What I'm pushing a lot right now is our warehouse that we recently implemented in Charlotte for the consignment stock, the sales of, as I told you, after sales, spare parts and consumables. In my opinion, service is a very important part of the business, which is the key to keep selling machinery. So right now, I'm working together with my service department. I would say I'm more focused now helping the service department in sale, because machinery, you can sell 7, 8, 10 machinery per year, but the baseline, okay, the strong baseline of the company with good margin, okay, is service. So we need to comply to what we are offering to our customer in terms of sales and after sales, in terms of service and after service market. Okay.
So how are the sales process for the service and the parts? How does that differ from the equipment sales?
There are 2 ways to make service. One is the proactive, and the other one is the reactive way. The reactive way is you stay in front of a laptop and you wait the customer asking spare parts. Okay, and you sell what, 60,000, 100,000 per year. But there is the right way, in my opinion, to do service, which is you know which kind of equipment you sold in the past. You analyze, you make a troubleshoot list, you make you analyze the machine and you understand which are the parts that can be more sensitive to be broken during the years.
Okay.
You make a kind of list, you go to the customer and you say to the customer, hey, if you want to make the right maintenance to your machine, those are the spare parts we recommend to you to buy. You can buy either like a direct sales, so you buy, we invoice, and that's it. Or we can even offer a consignment stock for those parts that has a repeatability in failures, okay? So they buy, I would say every, let's say 1 month. Mm-hmm. So they commit a certain quantity of spare parts, and we invoice them every month as soon as they click the button. So this is the way, in our opinion, to be not reactive but proactive in service.
Okay.
And we saw that making service in the reactive way was like, just to make a number, 10. The proactive way is 20. So
gotcha.
You still have the reactive way to do business, which is fine. This gives you like the 10 for the rest of the year. But you can add other 10 on the top of that if you are more proactive than reactive.
Okay. So we work with I'm part of a marketing agency, and we have some customers in kind of manufacturing and equipment suppliers and service providers. And that's a really interesting tactic that you're talking about there, like waiting for customers to need service or repairs versus proactively going out and kind of pre-selling them on what you know they're going to need. And you're saying you've seen just about double the sales.
Absolutely.
Taking that approach.
Absolutely. And it is going to cost a little bit more because you have to sit on a plane and go there. But sometimes even not, because you can present a list in front of a laptop. I mean, it's not always take a flight. But we did the first I would say, round of visits together with one of our colleagues. We did this approach. We implemented this approach. We sit on a plane. We prepared the list. We went with the plane to visit the customer. We offered the list in front of them. We explained the list to them. And we identified together the spare parts that could be critical for them to buy with a certain repeatability.
So what would you say is the most important thing for a new business in your industry to focus on? Maybe if you could do what you've went through the past year or so, if you could do it over, is there anything you would do different? Or what would you say is the most important thing for a new business like yours to focus on sales-wise?
Let me tell you something. Sometimes with Italy, we produce the machine in Italy. Here, so far, we have the sales department, project management, service department. So I would say we are like a sales and after sales support office in North America, plus our warehouse facility where we do stock of spare parts. But in Italy, we manufacture the equipment. So there is the excitement when you start. We start in January 2022. Excitement. Everybody's happy. Everybody with the American flag. Okay, we will land the United States. Okay, amazing. We sold the first project. We sold the second one and the third one and the fourth one. And then who is going to produce the equipment? Because keep in mind that Italy, okay, your mother company, in Italy or everywhere, they have to serve the remaining part of the world. So they work worldwide. So the same Indian or Chinese or Russian or whatever customer has the same importance of your American customer.
Sure.
And you cannot make you cannot differentiate, I like more this one or I like more that one.
Right.
So you can sell 3, 4, 5, 7 machines and everybody want to kiss you. But at the end of the day, you need to produce and manufacture the machine. And it can be something that is creating a negative momentum towards your American customer. If you sell a machine of $500,000, but you have a long lead time of 14, 15 months, just because there is other customer waiting for their own machines in our Italian workshop. So this is not a secret, okay? Everybody knows that. But the suggestion, the recommendation is, if you want to open a company everywhere in the world, but that you manufacture in a different country, be sure that where you have your headquarters, you are ready to feed properly your after sales and sales office, wherever it is. Otherwise, you are making a mess. I mean, you think that, okay, we are good because we are in the United States, but you
Right.
are jeopardizing your presence in the United States.
So did the global supply chain issues affect that exact issue? Because the past, 2 or 3 years, there's inflation in shipping costs and, factories were shut down for a little while there around the world. So speak to that a little bit.
Our lines are very automated. So we are talking about full electrical and automated lines with a lot of vision systems and robotics. So you can imagine for the electrical E&A components, it was like a mess. And especially for certain PLC stuff, HMIs and PLC stuff, our sub-supplier notify us like 52 weeks of delivery. So we were forced at a certain point to look at different options with all the risks that these can bring on the top of the table, like new products that you never tested, customer that don't like what you are now offering to them. So absolutely, we were like, I would say that thanks God, after COVID was amazing for us, like in terms of manufacturing volume and POs. So our lead time that usually was like 8 months, it extended to like 10. But on the top of that, we were impacted a lot by these electrical and automation supply chain disruptions. Okay. And this is, I would say, hitting for a couple of months more on the lead time of on a regular lead time.
Wow. But you were able to maintain your customer relationships and the sales, even though pushed down a little farther.
Because, in my opinion, we comply with what we said. The quality of the equipment is amazing. So they tend to wait 3 or 4 months more. But if you sell a Ferrari, they have a Ferrari. This is what thanks God, is what is helping a lot. So
it gets manufactured in Italy, a piece of equipment, and then is it container ship?
Yeah.
Shipped across? Okay.
Yes, we usually ship DDP from Italy to Florida, Ohio, whatever. We take care of the transportation if they want. And
Okay. Cool. Well, this is really interesting. I love talking to manufacturing companies. I think that's such an interesting industry because you've got so many moving parts, sourcing materials and supplies from around the world, all to bring it together to make something for your customer and then ship it across the world. All right. Any other advice on the sales side of things about your specific process, your expertise, and your experience?
I would say we discussed everything. No, pushing a lot on service, I told you already.
Yeah.
Being consistent on what you sell is the other part.
Okay.
I think that we covered everything more or less, yeah.
So what would you say is the biggest the best tactic you've used, maybe out of the different marketing things you've tried, something that maybe has caused the biggest spike in growth or leads or even closed sales?
Let me tell you a secret that I implemented, not with MGG, but in my previous life, in the steel market, big companies all around the world, especially here in the United States. There were a company that did not love us too much. And actually, our sales track record with them was almost zero. So I started approaching them in a very humble way, just like, we are here to support, but please let us know where we can have, as usual, I would say. But I try to enter with a very Mickey Mouse project. So those big companies in steel, they are used to buy, I don't know if you saw probably some press release, but there are companies like Nucor or Steel Dynamics that they buy like $500 million plants from the Germans or the Italian or the Japanese. And so they are used to deal with this kind of amount, $500,000, $20 million, $80 million. I literally sold a project with a specific customer, I don't want to mention the name, of $21,000. even less than the smaller spare parts that they can buy, significantly less. And actually, that was the key. And we were able, with that small Mickey Mouse project, to enter. And then at the end of the day, after 8-9 months, they awarded us with a project of $25 million. Because with that $21,000, we were able to fix certain specific things in the process of producing a specific product that they produce in Indiana, if I remember well.
Okay.
And they were so happy that little by little they start opening the door. And probably a secret, another interesting thing is that, as we said before, you need to identify the right guy. The right guy means the guy that speaks your same language, so technical language better, because we are technical companies, okay? We sell technical stuff. But the guy that can understand that you are solving a problem for him that is impacting his company, but his wallet. As soon as somebody is realizing that, he's fully open to talk to you. Because keep in mind that certain production guy, technical guy, are paid fixed plus variable. And the variable part is linked to the output, the outcome of the lines. Okay, so if you solve few things like with certain mechanical or electrical adjustment, it is a big saving for the company, but also at the end of the day is a big plus in their wallet because they receive a bigger variables. So that is the right chemistry that is interesting to create with this kind of profiles, leads.
So that's about like finding the specific pain point and the incentives that person is facing.
Yep.
So that you can help with their incentives and their goals they're trying to reach and help solving some of those pains that they have.
Yes. Well, this means really knowing your customer, deeply knowing your customer, which is not only, okay, I call you, I know your email, but knowing what do they do.
Yeah.
Which is not easy to do, is absolutely not easy because it takes time, it takes beers, restaurants, dinners, okay, enjoying a lot with them. And sometimes certain companies at C-suites, they do not understand that making sales is like a lot, 90% of these kind of things. Is not just drinking a beer to drink a beer with somebody. It's drinking a beer for sure, enjoying the person that you have in front of you, but also trying for the company to understand which is the right way to enter in the mind and in the heart of your customer.
So during that 5 to 6 month process of getting the first sale for MGG, how many of those type of meetings do you think it took? Because I know you had the presentation meeting that you had to get kind of through the gatekeeper to get set up. And then after that big presentation, did you have to do a lot of individual one-on-one, like dinners and that kind of wining and dining side of things?
In my opinion, we now, after 1 year, we are in the position that, and this is what we like and what our customer like, we are in the position that with certain companies, we can work proactively together to prepare the investment list together. I'm not saying that we decide what they have to buy, because absolutely not. They know what they want to buy. But where you are in the position, okay, they are in the driving seat, you are nearby them. When you are in that position, it's okay, because you listen them and you customize their preferences according to your technical knowledge. So they trust you because you are the consultant. You are not anymore the supplier. You are the technical consultant for them. So okay. I think that in the last 12, 14 months, out of 10, 12 companies in US, we are in a good position with 4 or 5, which is good for me because after 1 year is a good scenario for us.
Sure. But those kinds of one-on-one dinners and that kind of thing, that's like a constant part of your sales process, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's a constant part. It's a constant part, but a suggestion. It's nice to have a dinner with a customer. The customer wants to have a dinner with you, but even during the dinner, 5% of the time you have to, as a sales guy, you need to give added value to him. So let's spend 95% of the time without boring your customer talking about kids and families and sports and so on and so forth. But when you talk for 5 minutes about business, it has to be an added value time. Otherwise, after 2 dinners, he will not sit together with you anymore because he can talk about kids and family with somebody else.
Sure. Oh, that's a good point. Interesting. Okay. Because I'm used to doing a lot more like over video or maybe a phone call. I'm not doing a lot of one-on-one myself, but I see the advantage of that, and I see other people doing that, and it seems to work really well.
Paris, making, as I told you before, making sales, sometimes somebody does not understand that making sales means being prepared. So when you go to a dinner, it's strange to say because it's the relaxing moment, but you need to be prepared for those 5 minutes where you talk, when you talk about the added value that my technology can give you is A, B, C, D for this, with this ROI and so on and so forth.
Right.
5 minutes, no more than that.
And is that usually, I like this, getting into the details here. So is this like maybe at the beginning of the conversation, you're just hanging out for a while, and then at the end, it's that little added value usually, or do you strategically think about when to bring that up?
Usually there is a leitmotiv usually in the last 10 years of my dinners with the customer. We start talking about business, 3 minutes.
Okay.
Enjoying, and wrap up at the end after 2 hours, after 5 glasses of wine, but still with the brain connected. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like 3 minutes at the end, at the beginning, and 5 minutes at the end. So more or less, this is the way we deal with dinners. Yeah.
Huh. Do you have other salespeople on the team that you train up and like go through this kind of a process?
Yes. Well, I had in the past a lot with the previous experience. Now we are a smaller company, so we are significantly less here in Charlotte. But yes, absolutely. It is. Those are the advice that I try to give them to be like, to be a hammer, but in the right way.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I really appreciate that insight because I've been curious about how people execute those kinds of moments where it's a mix of entertainment and sales and trying to balance that.
I like salespeople having method. You need to have a method in sales. It's not like a rule of thumb activity that you do. I mean, you need to be, as I told you before, to be prepared, to study. When you have like a Premier League or Liga football match, you study or NFL match. Okay, both of the teams, they study each one. Okay. So you do the same with your customer.
Okay, cool. All right, this has been really interesting.
Thanks.
I really like the insight into this kind of sales process. Let's say we had an audience right now of a whole bunch of your target audience. So it sounds like different manufacturers of the different paintbrushes and rollers. What's that pitch that you would give? Just really briefly, what's the reason that those companies should use your company?
Because in our opinion, we are eager to keep looking at the technology. And right now, you cannot be competitive as a steel supplier, paintbrush supplier, whatever. Put the words that you want in front of producer, Put the words you want in front of producers. You cannot be a steel producer or a paintbrush producer or whatever if you do not embrace technology at 100%, which means vision, robotics, software, PLCs, and like the way to make service with like remote tablets to show to our Italian colleagues where is the problem, and you can intervene right away with the support of the Italian colleagues. So this is the way to make business, because only if you are able to swap, to offset from your manual production to the automated, 2030, new generation production. That is the key, in my opinion. And MGG, even in my previous company, we were keen to support our customer for those kind of technological aspects. So do not rely to the company that tells you, yeah, we can do manually, it's fine. No, it's not fine, because in order to compete with Chinese market or like low cost market, you need to automate. And this is thanks God, what our owner of MGG and founder, Mr. Gianfranco in Italy, he decided like 30 years ago to be a technological partner. Okay.
Cool. Very cool. So you have the high tech solutions.
Yeah. So
That's
we
really
help our customer to produce commodities, but there are different ways of producing commodities. So producing commodities where the margins are limited, if you do not embrace certain kind of the business like the technology and the automation,
right.
It will not be easy to survive, in my opinion.
Right, because their costs are going to be higher if they're using older methods or technology,
especially in the United States.
Yeah,
I'm not offering a fully automated lines in Indonesia, but yes, I'm offering a full 200% full automated lines in the United States.
Wow. All right. So any paintbrush or roller manufacturers who need automated manufacturing equipment, you can give Alberto a call.
We need to automate. I mean, we are here to automatize. I would say United States, because US, you see also in the infrastructures. Okay, United States or airports. United States is like NASA top-notch technology, or sometimes they have certain kind of things that are still like prehistorical things. So we find sometimes companies that still have like a lot of manual operation, which we love, okay, which they make sense for their business, okay, but we need to teach them on how embracing the technology in order to be competitive. So yes, there are, I would say, 80%, 70% of our customers that sooner or later they need to move towards that direction. So there is still a lot of job to do.
And are you moving into other markets other than just the paintbrush and paint roller?
We are trying to, we are very active, especially Europe, for automation and robotics. So we mutuate reciprocate some robotic application that we have in the paintbrush and roller technology in certain other markets like medical and sports. So what we are trying to do here in North America is to make a sort of partner with a very reliable Canadian company for robotics, which is very active in nuclear and automotive. Okay. We can work together, making synergies, technical synergies, and the idea will be serving the United States and North America, Canada, and Mexico market for what concerns robotics. For instance, even the same customer for paintbrushes like Sherwin-Williams and Behr, they have a lot of painting and coatings facility where they do not produce paintbrushes, but they produce the gallows of colors, okay? Right. And they absolutely make those facility more automatic compared to what they are right now. So there is the new, I would say, scenario that I'm looking at.
Okay, so there's almost, it sounds like there's an option to get like custom equipment. If you have a big enough customer and they have a specific need, you guys can come up with a way to
tailor-made solutions. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Wow.
Fit to purpose solution.
You make the machines that make the machines almost.
Yeah, actually, yeah. It could be, yeah, you summarize perfectly. Yeah.
Really cool. All right, Alberto, thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks, Paris.
Some really good stuff. And anybody who sounds like who's listening, who you think you might be able to do some business with Alberto, give them a call. We'll have links to their website and Alberto's LinkedIn in the show notes. And we'll see everybody next time.
Thank you, Paris. I hope that to have been clear with my New Jersey accent. And I hope you to see.
I think it was good.
Thank you so much. Bye.
All right, bye.